Hey guys, welcome back to Renaissance Dudes.
Today we want to talk a little bit about the subject of manners. You see, manners are very important, and I think it's a totally underserved area in our culture right now. I think that there are so many people that don't know how to use the right utensils I think there's so many people who don't know how to use the right utensils. They don't know how to hold a door. They really just basically don't know how to be polite. So we want to talk a little bit about that. It was important to a person like George Washington to be a gentleman. He even wrote a book about it and said that it was not only important to learn how to do things well, but also to do them gracefully. And I've always thought that was interesting that George Washington would himself write a book about being polite and well-mannered. So if it was important enough for one of our founding fathers around Election Day, it's important enough for us, right? So William, to teach you a little bit about manners, I want to read this book to you. The Berenstain Bears Forget Their Manners.
Does this really teach you manners? I think this is just a fun kid's book.
Well, that seems a little bit rude. There's your first lesson. If an adult says that they should read a book to you, you should listen. We don't need this. Let's show you the real stuff.
You just said.
All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how to hold the door for a lady. It's very important that when you're walking through the door, if there's a lady with you or if there's one behind you, that you learn to hold the door properly for a lady. All right? So in this case, you can be the lady. So if we were coming up to this door together, if we were walking this way, if we were walking towards the door, I would want to get to the door first and pull the door open. And then I would probably gesture with my hand like this. Now, if there are more people coming through, you can hold the door for other ladies as they come through, okay? Now, what if there's another guy coming through? The proper way to do it is to look at the guy, make eye contact with him, and indicate that you're going to hold the door for him to come through like this as he comes behind you so that he can take the door. Okay? Now, let's practice this with a real lady. All right. So, I will come on in, Kate. All right, William, you're going to hold the door for her. So the two of you are going to be walking from back there and walk towards this door. And William, do what I just did. Oh, excuse me, buddy. Oh. I was the guy.
You did. Oh.
Come on, Kate. Let's try it again.
A few moments later.
Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There we go. Now, it's very important that you know two things. One is how to set the table properly, and then how to use silverware properly. Okay? Let me show you something. So do you know which side the utensils go on?
I think. Yeah.
Okay? What do you think? Excuse me?
I went to manners camp. So.
Okay. Then tell me how this goes, Mr. Manners Camp. Nice and loud.
I think the forks go on the left and the knives and spoons go on the right.
Okay. So far, so good. So why don't you show me how you would do it? A little tricky, huh? Okay, good. Now, what if you have two forks? Normally, one of them would be smaller.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, let me tell you, you've done this exactly right. Normally, this would be the smaller fork. So, if you're in doubt, you should use the utensils from the outside in. So, in other words, typically the smaller fork is on the outside like that because if you have a salad, the proper thing to do is to use the smaller fork to eat your salad. Okay? And then you use your larger fork to eat the main meal. Now, I'm going to take this back. I want to show you a little trick that I learned about the napkins, okay? The best way to fold a napkin, now it doesn't really matter, the napkin always goes on the left underneath the fork, okay? But there's a little extra step that I like to do, and it shows that you really know what you're doing when it comes to manners. That is, when you fold the napkin, you should fold it in such a way that the one corner on the outside corner can be lifted up at the topmost flap like this up. So you wouldn't want it like this or like this or anything like that. You want to put it to where the opening to the entire napkin is here in the lower left underneath your fork, okay? And what happens is, as you lift your fork and you sit down, you grab hold of that one corner and the whole thing opens to place on your lap. So the first thing you do when you sit down is you remove the napkin and you place it in your lap, okay? So I am going to set my place setting, and I'm going to give you this napkin so that you can do what I just instructed. You've also done very well. I noticed that the knife is turned in towards the plate, so you've done very well there. Now we've both just sat down at dinner, so you're going to set your fork back down in place, take the napkin, place it in your lap. You don't tuck it in up here, you don't do any of that. You just merely set it in your lap so that it, in case you were to miss for some reason. I will also tell you this, that some places, when they serve food, people pass the food around the table. Do you know the rule for which direction you should pass?
To the right.
That's correct. Right is right. Good job, man. Manners camp paying off already. So, you eat with the small fork for your salad. Now, what I want to cover in brief is that this is the number one thing that I notice that people do wrong. And I've seen this at all different levels of society. I've eaten dinners with candidates for jobs at Ernst & Young or other places, and people don't know how to hold utensils when they're getting ready to eat in a graceful and elegant manner. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, okay? So there are a couple ways to hold your fork, okay? One way is to eat your food like this. So you hold it a little bit like you would hold a pencil, okay? A little bit like that. And you can gently stab things and eat them. So you do that. Now, that doesn't help you when you're cutting, okay? But when so there's a couple ways to do this too. So when you cut, you want to take your fork, you want to transition it to the left hand, okay? You want to put it, so you're gonna place it in your hand basically so that your left forefinger supports it here like this, and you're going to wrap the rest of your hand around it, okay, like this, with your thumb along the side to stabilize it, and the left finger over here, and the other two fingers down lower. Now, you want this finger right here to be as close to the bottom of the fork as you can. You don't want to hold it back here because that's not very stable. You want to hold it right there. Now, what happens is you're going to stab whatever it is that you're going with. And then when you cut, if you want to do it the real proper way, okay? Did you know that the real proper way is not to saw on it like this? The actual proper way is to always make cuts in one direction. So yes, quite. So you come off like that, just like this, okay? Until you cut through it. Now, there are two ways that it is acceptable to eat, okay? One is you can continue to hold your fork in this way and bring the food up to your mouth, okay? Or if you've cut a piece, you may transition the fork to your hand like this and stab it this way and eat it. Both are acceptable. However, here's the rule. Whichever way you start to do it, you have to go the whole meal that way. So if you begin to do it this way and eat this way, to do it truly properly, you don't switch in the middle of the meal. You continue to eat the same way. Okay? Now, what about in a situation where they serve a soup? Do you know how to actually use the spoon for the soup?
I know it's not this.
That's right. Some people like to hold their spoons like this. This isn't the right way to hold a spoon. This is the proper way to hold a spoon, just like we did the fork. Now, not only that, there's a right way and a wrong way to spoon your soup, okay? The proper gentleman always spoons the soup away from him. So when you're getting soup, you don't come towards yourself like this. You don't scoop like this. Instead, you scoop away from you and come up to your mouth. Take the soup. Okay? A couple other quick pointers here.
Did you know that you're supposed to only get your next bite after you have finished the bite in your mouth?
That's good advice. I see someone's been paying attention. A couple other pointers is on the holding of the fork. Again, it's pretty simple. You can always get away with this. When you're cutting, you need to hold it like this. Unacceptable ways to do it are like this. This just makes you look like a barbarian, but I see people do it all the time. I see people do it like this. I've seen people do it like this. People do forks in all kinds of strange ways, but there are essentially two polite and gracious ways to do it: this way and, of course, this way. When you're cutting, this is the proper method. You come down, you give it one direction strokes, no sawing action, okay? When you're done, proper way to indicate that you're done is to place your fork tines down on the plate like this.
Isn't the other one where you're just gone for a second but you're not done?
Yes, so the other way to note this is when you get up, if you have to leave for some reason to go to the bathroom or whatever, you should place your napkin in your seat. So when you get up, you place your napkin in your seat to hold your spot, basically. When you're done eating and you're getting ready to leave the table, it's acceptable to take your napkin and place it on top of your plate, and then they know that you're done. What else do we need to cover? Oh, when you're drinking a drink, when you have a beverage, a cup, there's a polite and acceptable way to drink from a cup. Did you know that?
No.
Do you know which way it is? Can you guess? When you drink from a cup, you need to keep both eyes down the barrel of the glass. When you drink, it's not good to be looking around while you drink or looking at someone. See how weird it is? When you take a drink, your eyes, you should bring the drink up to where you can see into the bottom of the cup. Keep your eyes looking down the glass. Take your sip and set it down. Then you can break eye contact. Go ahead, you try it. Hey, William. Oh.
I was done though.
You have to wait until you come down though. Now, if you, that brings up another interesting point that I was thinking about, is that if you have, what if someone starts talking to you when you have your mouth full of food?
Hey, I need to talk to you about something.
Yes, I'd love to talk to you about that. Another thing to note is that, let's say sometimes you eat something and it's not right. Something's not right. What you ate, maybe it's a little piece of fat or bone or something like that. The rule of thumb is that things should leave your mouth, if you absolutely must, they should generally leave your mouth the same way that they came in. So in other words, if you're eating foods with your fingers, you might come up and pluck it from your mouth with your fingers, okay? If it came in with your fork, your best is to let it leave your mouth on your fork. If you're absolutely in trouble though, you can always use your napkin and politely wipe whatever it is away, and then make sure your napkin's folded over so that you don't get it all over your pants. So you can always, but what you don't want to do is you want to do it politely and discreetly. If you have to get rid of something into your napkin, you don't want to wait till someone's talking to you and then go. You would rather wait until the offbeat when someone's not looking at you and politely and discreetly rid yourself of the unwanted portion of food and continue. Anything else we need to cover?
Don't eat like this.
Sounds like you're saying don't chew with your mouth open.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who do that, and it's not pleasant. Oh, another thing that this is true in general, it's not just for dinner, but this goes along with holding the door for ladies and other things like that. It's just like you're doing. When someone's talking to you, the most polite thing you can do is make eye contact with them and nod along when they're talking to acknowledge at the proper moments that you are hearing what they're saying and that you agree, or potentially even if you disagree. But making eye contact always tells someone, I care about what you're saying and I'm listening to you.
Thank you for watching, guys. If you're not already a Renaissance Dude subscriber, please do so now. Leave a comment if you think we left out a couple manners, or you can comment on a new video in the future. Bye.